Welcome to Sleep Tight Frights, the place where bedtime stories don't always end sweetly. I'm Evergrey, your storyteller in the shadows. Each tale is a little strange, a little spooky, and just creepy enough to keep you peeking over the covers. So settle in, close your eyes, but don't fall asleep just yet. Welcome to Sleep Tight Frights, the podcast where each tale is one part lullaby and two parts nightmare. Tonight's story begins with something buried. Not a monster, not a curse, just a collar. And when memories fade and promises are forgotten, sometimes something grows in their place. Get ready for The Howl Beneath the Garden. There were a lot of things buried in Ruby's backyard. A broken garden gnome, an old bike bell, the bones of past summers. But the deepest thing was Toby's collar. Toby had been her best friend, a shaggy brown mutt with floppy ears, one blind eye, and the kind of bark that rattled windows. He howled at sirens and squirrels and sang to the moon like it was his long-lost friend. Most of all, he was hers, the only one who always listened, the only one who always stayed. He'd passed away last fall, the same week the leaves turned yellow and brittle, like the whole world was giving up. Ruby didn't cry at first. Not really, not until the night she rolled over and he wasn't there. She buried his collar under the maple tree behind the shed. So he won't be forgotten, she whispered, patting the mound with a shaking hand. But as the winter passed and snow melted, Ruby began to forget. Not all at once, just little pieces, like forgetting how his paws clicked on the kitchen tile, or how he huffed when you scratched just under his chin, or even the way his tail thumped once, just once, when he dreamed. She tried not to forget, but life moved forward and memories don't always wait. Spring came, the garden bloomed, daffodils like yellow trumpets, tulips like flames, and the smell of damp earth curling up through the windows. And something else grew from the ground. Not a flower, not a weed, a thing. Half root, half howl, a wrongness that withered beneath the surface. It had a dog's snout, long and lined with green-black veins, caked with moss and old dirt. Its legs were like twisted mandrake roots, bent backwards like they had once belonged to something else. They creaked when it walked. They bled sap when it ran. Its back was covered in glowing red lumps, like coals trying not to burn, like sores that pulsed with breath. From the base of its spine curled a long, swishing tail like a horse's, but darker, heavier, wet, like it had been dragged through old graves and deeper things. Ruby didn't see it at first, but she heard it. At night, when the house was still and everyone else was asleep, a soft scritch, scritch, just beneath her window. Sometimes a sniff, sometimes a whimper, and once a howl. Low, lonely, bone deep, like someone calling across time, like a sound that didn't belong to now. Her parents said it was the wind, but Ruby knew wind didn't leave muddy paw prints on her windowsill. And wind didn't leave toys she didn't recognize on her doorstep, like the chewed-up rubber frog with teeth marks too deep, or the torn tennis ball that stank like moss and ash, or the half-buried note in the flower bed, scrawled in dirt, just two words, "Remember me." Then came the holes, teeny ones at first, like a squirrel might make, then bigger, like claws, like something was rising, like the ground was letting go. One morning, Ruby stepped outside and saw a trail of holes arching from the maple tree to the back door. She stopped gardening after that, stopped going outside at all. The dreams followed. She dreamt of wet fur and a collar bell jingling from behind the walls, of growling in the pipes, of long red tails sliding through flower beds. Once she woke up with dirt under her fingernail and no memory of how it got there. She started sleeping with her curtains drawn tight, her door locked, and her pillow over her head. but the more she tried to forget, the closer it came. One night, she woke with her room feeling off. The air didn't move, didn't breathe. Her nightlight flickered like it was holding its breath, and in the corner where shadows should have slept, it stood. The hound drake, eyes like burnt marbles, breathing slow, tail twitching, mouth closed but not silent. Mud dripped from its paws, one ear was torn, and around its neck hung a collar, not Toby's, Ruby's. "Toby?" she whispered. The thing tilted its head, and then it spoke. Not with a mouth, with a memory. She felt it. The weight of fur pressed against her shins, the heat of dog breath on her wrist, the sound of herself whispering, "I won't forget you," and a heartbeat, one she hadn't felt in months. But memory is fragile, and forgetting is easy, and something had crawled into the space between. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice more breath than sound. The hound drake blinked, clawed at the carpet, and dropped the collar. Her collar. Rusty chain links, a tag she didn't recognize, a name she'd never given, but deep down, she knew what it meant. "You made a promise," it growled in her head. "Now wear it." Ruby bolted, not to run away, not to the backyard, to the maple tree. She dropped to her knees, dug, with her bare hands, fingers bleeding, soil beneath her nails, roots clawing back, and finally she found it. Toby's collar, bent, faded, but still real, still his. She held it to her chest. I still remember, I'm sorry." She didn't know if she said it out loud, didn't know if it mattered, but something heard. The wind stopped. The ground hushed. Behind her, the hound drake let out one final howl. Not angry, not hungry, just tired. Then it crumpled, back into the roots, back into the dirt, back into something old and forgotten. Ruby placed both collars, Toby's and the strange one, inside a wooden box her grandma once carved. She didn't bury it, she didn't hide it, she kept it on her shelf, so she'd never forget again. Not what she lost, but what she had promised. The forgotten never stay buried, not when they remember you too. Thanks for listening to tonight's tale on Sleep Tight Frights. If you enjoyed The Howl Beneath the Garden, don't forget to follow, rate, and share with your bravest friends. We've got more chills waiting in the shadows. Until then, stay tuned to listen to your fear fact. Did you know that mandrakes, those strange root-like creatures from old legends, were once believed to scream when pulled from the ground? Some even say their cries would drive you mad, or worse. In this story, our creature, the hound drake, is part mandrake, part memory. Because sometimes the scariest thing isn't what comes out of the ground, it's what we've forgotten we've buried. So if you ever hear scratching under your window or find muddy paw prints on your sill, maybe it's not just the wind. Maybe it's a promise waiting to be remembered. Thank you for listening to Sleep Tight Frights. It means more than you know, to us and to the things that listen back. I'm Ever Gray, your guide through the shadows, and if you felt something was watching as the story unfolded, you're not alone. They remember the ones who listen, they wait for the ones who return. So come back soon. Sleep tight if you can.